We reneged on our end. Not that the Shah was a fine, great, upstanding man from reports. I never met him. Apparently he wasn't. Not that Mubarak was a fine, loving, cuddly fellow. Apparently from reports he wasn't. And there wasn't equality. Should have been. But he kept radicals at bay from destroying the peace agreement between Israel and Egypt. We had agreements with him that apparently this administration looked the other way, wouldn't honor those agreements. I sure never thought much of Gaddafi, but I could not celebrate a man being captured, tortured, and then shot, and then all the adoration and excitement by the same people who get so upset if a terrorist who is trying to kill Americans has water poured on his face, knowing that the water won't hurt him, that there's a doctor right there, and that when he reveals information, as Khalid Sheikh Mohammed did, it will save lives and lead to the saving of many more lives. But he won't be harmed, we know, because the doctor would have been there if there was any problem. Yet those same people that went ballistic over pouring water on a guy's face, not pleasant. How excited they could be about a man being captured, tortured, and shot in the head routinely. How excited people could be about having a drone take out an American citizen. Well, he had declared war on the United States. You declare war on the United States has every right to declare war on you back. You're an enemy combatant, and the rules of war apply, such as they are. But we have come so far in the last 10 years from being careful and concerned that it seems that we've gotten careless, gotten ridiculous. Our obligation, even those of us who are Christians, is not to turn the other cheek as part of the government, not to reward evil with good as individual Christians are supposed to. Our obligation is to provide for the common defense. Same thing set out in Romans 13. If you do evil, be afraid, because the government's not given the sword in vain. We're supposed to encourage good conduct and punish evil. Provide for the defense so that individuals, whether they're Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Scientologist, whatever, they can worship as they wish. But when we fail to protect this nation and provide for the common defense, we're not doing our job. We've had a very interesting time today with Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. There's some things that have come out that have been very deeply troubling to me, and I would hope that they're very troubling to many. I've got numerous articles, things that I've taken out to talk about here today. One is a new segment here about Secretary Napolitano appointing a de-radicalization, that's in quotes, expert, Mohammed Al-Bayari, to the Homeland Security Advisory Council. Now, originally, he was made by Homeland Security a member of the Countering Violent Extremism, which is a little strange. Violent extremism. Oh, yeah. Then you realize that's because this administration does not want to use the terms radical Islam about the people who are radical Islamists. And when you get to dig in a little deeper, you find out that the OIC, Islamic group, years ago figured out we need to go on the attack and start calling anybody who mentions radical Islam as an Islamophobe. Even if it's a lie, it doesn't matter. Call them Islamophobes. And they found that if you give universities, even great universities, proud heritage in this country, massive amounts of money, you can also get them to teach seminars on Islamophobia. You can get them to teach courses on Islamophobia. And you can paint the picture that anybody, no matter how open-minded, no matter how well-read, how well-studied they are, you call them Islamophobes enough, then maybe it'll catch on and people will be afraid to call radical Islamists what they are. Now, I don't know of anybody who is in judiciary today that believes that Muslims are terrorists. They're not. The only disagreement among those I know concerned about radical Islam is whether the radical Islamists are 1%, 5%, maybe a little more. Some might say as much as 10%, but at least 90%, maybe 99% of Muslims are peace-loving people. And if you got a Muslim friend, they are your true friend. And people have experienced that, they've seen that. But those who study radical Islam also come to know that it's very difficult for a moderate, peace-loving Muslim to speak up against radicals, because under some of the contorted thinking by people like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed that helped plan 9/11, that basically makes them an apostate. They're not really Muslim. They're Muslim in name only. They think that means they're okay to be killed because they don't really believe in true Islam. So when you get down to it, it appears, from a studied look at the issue, when you don't worry about what the OIC or Muslim Brotherhood may try to paint you as, or the mainstream media, for whatever reason, though so many of them in the mainstream media would be some of the first ones killed if radical Islam takes over this country, they nonetheless do some of their bidding for them without realizing just how ignorant they're being. But if they were to take over any area where they take over, as they did in Afghanistan, the moderate, peace-loving Muslims are often the first ones brutalized and killed because they don't see them as true Muslims because they're not radical like that small percentage. But documents have been discovered going backward to the 1993 meeting in Philadelphia of those who would be part of the Muslim Brotherhood, other groups trying to plot a strategy for the years ahead. They believed a number of things that we're now seeing carried out. You intimidate people, you make them think they're much more intellectually elite. If they say, well, gee, we're not going to even say the name of radical Islam. In fact, as Speaker Pelosi led in the last Congress, the 2006 military tribunal bill was changed, the law was changed, so we didn't call them enemy combatants anymore. We called it, changed the name, big deal, changed the name from enemy combatants to unprivileged, alien, enemy belligerents. And I guess we just hope that the word enemy wouldn't offend them, even though they've shown, as they did with Mr. Pearl, they will take a jagged knife and cut your head off. They don't do it in the name of Scientology. They don't do it in the name of the Southern Baptist Convention. And if they did, I would be called